Hey everybody, and welcome to our early comics review video. I'm Andy.
I'm Matt.
We're here with Infinity Flux Comics out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and this is our big show where we show you some of the biggest and best books that are releasing this week. They're coming out Wednesday, so you have a better idea when you go into your local comic book store or you shop online at infinityflux.net. You have a better idea of what kind of stuff you are in for and what might fit your current comic palette. That you say,
Nice.
no,
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling right now.
That is delicious. Like,
Please ask the store first or purchase the comic before you
before you chew on it.
physically
Yeah.
taste the comic. But there's some huge books coming out this week, like super heavy hitting books, a lot of number ones. So you're definitely going to want to watch this all the way to the end because we'll be talking about pretty much number ones through the entire show and a bunch of exciting stuff. Talking about the books, their variant covers, all that good stuff. But let's get it started.
Yeah. So welcome to this week's episode of Absolute Superman #1. And oh yeah, there's some other stuff too. No. We are going to start with Absolute Superman #1. This is the big one. This is the third book in this new Absolute line of books from DC, written by Jason Aaron, art by Rafa Sandoval. Now, there is a lot of stuff in here that I don't want to spoil, so there's I don't know, we're probably going to spend a little bit of time on this, but there's even more stuff in the book than what we will talk about. Because promise me when I say there is stuff in here that will make your eyes widen a little bit, maybe make your jaw drop, and I don't want to spoil that for you. I want you to have that experience as you're reading it. But to give you an idea about how much story is in here, when Absolute Batman came out, it was 42 pages. Absolute Wonder Woman had 26 pages. This has 36 pages. So this is right in the middle. This is a little bit meatier than just your regular, regular standard size comic book. There's a little bit more to chew on. And I want to go ahead and tell you that there's, just like with Absolute Batman, the credits were at the end. It was this big double page splash with the logo and the credits and all that. And this is the same way. But there is maybe 3 or 4 pages after that you definitely don't want to miss. So, don't I don't know if anybody does this, but
don't leave the theater before
I don't know if you see, oh, there's the credits, there's the writer and the artist, and then close it up. Just be sure to turn the page all the way to the end of the book so you see those last few pages because there's some really cool stuff in there that I'm not going to tell you about. The first few pages of this show us what life was like on Krypton in this new universe, and it reminds me of the World of New Krypton storyline from several years ago. In that it establishes that on Krypton there were all these guilds, and the class system of Krypton was based on what guild you were in. So like the science class, they were the upper echelon of society, right?
Yeah.
They were almost, I don't want to say celebrities, but they were like the high ups, like almost like the popular kids,
They're almost like royalty.
Almost, yeah. And then you had a bunch of different tiers, and then the lowest tier was the shoot, I can't remember.
Just kind of the farming working class.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of it was, but so we, that establishes what life was like on Krypton. We do see Jor-El and Lara-El in this, so we get a little bit of a peek at Superman's parents on Krypton, but still in this new universe, right? So there's several pages at the beginning dedicated to what was going on Krypton, and you still do have the idea of Krypton is or the Kryptonians have destroyed or are destroying their own planet because they're mining for all these resources and stuff. So that idea is still there. But then it kind of jumps to present day on Earth in Brazil, and we see there's a mine there that is owned by a company called the Lazarus Corporation, and they're going to be what I think is like sort of the looming threat at least through this first story arc, if not through the whole book. And they have this group of almost like stormtroopers that work for them, and they're called the Peacemakers. But they look exactly like Peacemaker with the red shirt,
weird helmet,
the weird helmet, the white pants, the red shirt, and they have these big guns and everything. If you look at the cover of issue #2, you'll see them. And the Peacemakers have been sent there by the Lazarus Corporation to tell the people there in Brazil, hey, hurry up and mine all these diamonds out of this mine because we want to make money, right? So the workers are not treated well at all. They're promised extra pay and overtime pay, hazard pay, that kind of stuff, and they never get it. So this corporation is treating these workers really poorly. And it's here that we see Superman. We don't know why he's there. We don't know what his deal is. We don't know what happened to him before that. We don't know anything yet. We just know he's there in Brazil right now. And of course, Superman is still Superman,
Mm-hmm.
and he does not like seeing people in positions of power treating messing with the downtrodden, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a defender of justice and that kind of thing. And this does lead him into conflict with the peacemakers, and you get a nice several page action sequence. And I won't tell you too much about that, but it's here that we see that this Superman's power set may be different.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure though. There's he's still very fast. He's still
Yep.
very strong. There's readouts. Somebody's like in the command center saying, "Oh, his vitals exceed all normal
Yeah.
human whatever." So we do see that he is still powerful. He is still Superman, but there's also something there that seems like maybe it's different, and I
Yeah.
don't know. There is still something with the sun, but you know I don't want to spoil too much of that, right? But it's a really cool fight scene, and it leaves us with a lot of questions, a lot of things that we're going to have to learn about this Superman. And I feel like this book has more questions raised than maybe Absolute Batman or Absolute Wonder Woman. Because
Mm-hmm.
Absolute Batman, sure, his origin is different and there's differences there, but it's still Bruce Wayne, he's still Batman, he's still a vigilante in Gotham City trying to rid the streets of crime and that kind of thing. And Wonder Woman, sure, she was raised in hell instead of Themyscira, but she's still a warrior princess, a warrior woman. And she's going to go on a journey trying to find out who she is. But the Superman is like, well, yeah, he came from Krypton. Yeah, he's still super powerful. But how did he get there? And what was his upbringing like? And are his powers different? He's got this suit. Maybe there's something with the suit we don't quite know yet. There's a lot of questions. But it is very, very good though.
Yeah.
Like it's questions that I cannot wait to learn the answers to. So I feel like what do you want to say? I feel
Yeah.
like I've gone on for a long time.
Well, it's the thing. I was like, I want to talk about this
Yeah.
because there's a lot in here. Like you said, I do feel like there's maybe more to chew on in
Yeah.
this than the other titles, and not to say that it's just different.
It's just different, yeah.
I would say this has more like cutaways or more characters that we see
Hmm.
that with Batman we mostly focused on Batman and Alfred and kind of the core dynamic going on there with Black Mask. This has that, but it has even more characters that it gives you a taste of, but then pulls back, and so it leaves you with a lot of questions. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in here about, yeah, like you said, Krypton is roughly the same, but also almost completely different.
Right.
It's like
Which is the theme of this book. It's a lot the same that we know, but there's also a lot of differences.
Yeah, there's everything you like, even stuff that you don't think if you change would change stuff in the story. It's kind of what happens here, where Jor-El is different than he was in your traditional Superman story, and because of that, things are different.
Almost like a butterfly effect,
It is.
kind of, sort
I
of.
do feel it that way. It's kind of like the stuff with that happened with Wonder Woman, where you move her here and then now she's raised this way.
Yeah.
So it's like the core of the character, the the ethics and everything of the character are the same. But what if some factors changed around them, and that does, in the end, change the character quite a bit. Um, the art in this is phenomenal.
Yes.
It feels maybe the most kind of like, I don't want to say traditional superhero, but this is an artist that worked on Action Comics for a while and that kind of thing, so it does look like that. But just this feels very world building without being slow, which I love, and I do love all the questions it raises.
Yeah.
Because there's things that change of like, we don't know certain ages of, when did Superman or Clark Kent, is he even Clark Kent in this universe?
Right.
We don't quite know when he came to Earth, what age was he? And that's a big factor of like, well, what if he was older on Krypton? That would mean he remembers Krypton.
Right.
And just so many things are like, oh, if you change that, then what does that mean? Just all that to say that this is going to be, I can't wait for people to read this. This is going to be a really fun one to talk about after the fact, when everyone's read it, and then you can start kind of theory crafting behind it.
And I have a note about that saying I think this one has the most opportunities for theory crafting, especially with the pages at the end. because after we read it like a month ago, we were like, oh, if this is that, then I wonder if this is that. And who is that person? And maybe that person is the head of this thing, and then that might mean this. And
Yeah.
whereas, like I said, with Batman, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just a Batman and he's fighting crime in Gotham City. But
Yeah.
this one is like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, not
like
to diminish Batman, but I feel like the things of like, okay, he grew up, not as a billionaire, and then we see that the Joker is going to be that billionaire
yeah,
figure. This is a little bit more nuanced about like what do these slight changes mean
yeah,
in a bigger sense. So I feel like you're gonna have a nice like going between Absolute Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman. You're gonna have such a wide berth of flavor and storytelling
yeah.
and tones that it's going to be really interesting building this world.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be annoying when you read a first issue and you're like, I don't know anything that was going on. Like, I don't understand anything.
Yeah.
This isn't that though. Like, this gives us a lot of questions, and I cannot wait to learn the
Yeah.
answers. And I actually don't even really like theory crafting all that much, but my mind is racing with, oh, I think this might be that, and that might be this, and then this
Yeah,
means
there's
that.
something somebody says here, but then when you read the end, that maybe changes what that
Yeah,
means earlier on.
yeah. So all the questions that it poses, they're good. Like, I cannot wait to learn the answer. So what that means is this made me want a second issue like right now.
Yeah.
I want to know more about this. There's I don't know. Like I said, with the suit, I will say we don't see the cape.
No, you don't see the
So
cape, and if you look on the cover, the cape doesn't. It's not cloth. It almost looks like a like energy
energy or
venting
something. Yeah,
off of him, and
but we don't know.
we don't
So
know.
yeah.
And when you read it, you'll start to get ideas of like maybe this is what that means
Yep.
because there is, if you look at him, there is some distinct differences. His arms, some of the stuff about the suit. When you read it, you're going to be like, oh, there's more to the suit than what I originally thought.
Right.
There's questions raised where you didn't even think there could be
Yep.
questions.
Yep.
So that's so cool about this.
Yeah, so we literally could spend the entire episode talking about this, but we will just let you read it for yourself in a couple days. But all that to say, we love it. We
Yeah.
give it our highest recommendation possible, and I know we've been saying that a lot lately with a lot of DC books, but this is another awesome, absolute book. Batman was fantastic, Wonder Woman fantastic. This one also fantastic. So I highly recommend it. Hopefully you pre-order because these are probably going to sell out pretty quick,
Yes.
I think. But yeah, we absolutely, I didn't mean to do that, but I've been doing that a lot. Like, we very, very much loved this and cannot wait for everybody else to get their hands on it. So, this is our A cover right here by Rafa Sandoval. That is your interior artist, so the book looks like that on the inside, and there's a lot of cool covers. This is your Wes Craig variant. This is a skull. No, this is Clayton Crane.
Clayton Crane, yeah.
Your Clayton Crane variant.
Clayton and Creighton.
Yep, that's your blank sketch variant. This is a variant showing all the answers that we got to all the questions
Yeah.
we had. Right. We have this
You
really
read
nice
the book and you flip over the cover and you start like taking notes.
right.
On the
Yeah,
cover.
it's a notebook. Yeah, that is foil logo variant with the new, and we even learn the sort of the meaning of this because every guild on Krypton has a sigil that they wear, and we learn. I will say it doesn't stand for hope.
I was about to say it does not stand for hope.
It's not that, but we do learn that. So it's just really cool. So the foil logo variant there. Then we have the Jim Lee cover.
And with that one, he looks older on this cover than what he does in the
Yeah.
book. I'm imagining in the book he looks fairly young.
I think maybe like 24,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. In this one, he looks like, Superman just in a different costume. So it doesn't quite look like this. I mean, the costume, yes, but facial wise, he doesn't quite look like that.
Another thing I love in the book is when you see Jor-El, you go
yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's his father
Yep.
because he's a spitting image of him.
And then there's the Jim Lee, but foil. So yeah, I don't know if we got the point across, but we love this. We love it and can't wait for everybody to read it.
Yeah, let us know in the comments when you read it. Let us know what you think, and let's all speculate. What do you say? Speculate.
Theory craft.
Yeah, but like responsibly.
Oh right, yeah.
Speculate responsibly. don't make up your own things, and then when they don't happen, you're upset about them. Okay, next up we've got another #1 from DC, not in an absolute universe, in our home universe that we know and love. This is JSA #1, written by Jeff Lemire and the artist by Diego Olortegui.
I think it's Olortegui. Olortegui.
Okay, that sounds good. Those letters can go a bunch of different ways. But fantastic art. He was the artist on the
Jay Garrick the Flash
Jay Garrick the
miniseries
Flash
was great.
miniseries. So it's a very easy lead in from that into JSA using those same characters. And I'm a big Jeff Lemire fan. He has such a way with like humanizing characters and the way characters interact with each other and everything is so cool. Um, so one thing, just kicking off, I'm a big JSA fan, and this felt like I was continuing to read JSA from before the New 52. Like I love these characters, and it was so refreshing because they kind of are that. It does talk about in this book that like these characters went missing for a long time and they're back, and kind of what that means. But the JSA, are your golden age characters, your team from way back, and they have kind of survived through the DC universe for so long, but they have gained members, and even children of original members have joined the team, and that's kind of a big point of this book is they are a family. Not by some by blood, but others just like they've been around so long. And the theme of this book is kind of like a family that is slowly breaking apart, and like how do you keep that together. So what we learn in here, we're kind of thrown in the middle of a story where some leaders of the JSA, Alan Scott, Jay Garrick, Ted Grant, Wildcat, um, Dr. Fate, all they have gone missing, and they
Well,
apparently
Dr. Fate didn't, but the Hawks did. Hawkman and Hawkgirl.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But so, and maybe some other characters too, but kind of your
Oh wait, no, Dr. Fate did go
yeah,
missing.
he
My
did.
bad. Yeah, sorry.
Uh,
Jeez.
but this is kind of your elders. This is kind of the leaders of the JSA, and that leaves some of the younger ones behind to try to pick up the pieces and figure out what to do. And that leaves characters like Jade and Obsidian, the brother and sister of, or kids who are brothers and sister of Alan Scott. You've got Yolanda, who is the second Wildcat,
Mm-hmm.
Sand or Sandman that you have. And what's really interesting about this is they are a younger generation, and now that the leaders of them are gone, they've started to kind of pull apart with their different ideologies of how the JSA should be run. Some think, our job is to like monitor and maintain the peace, and then another side, led by Obsidian, says, "Hey, we need to go and like be tactical and like take these strikes because there is a classic JSA villain group called Cobra, but this time spelled with a K,
Right.
that has been acting up, and they're definitely differing on how they should deal with this situation. And that's really, you're watching this family fall apart, as even you've got your characters of she used to be Liberty Bell, Jesse Quick,
Yeah.
and Our Man, who where I believe they're still married because they were married in the previous JSA. That even they're kind of on two different sides of this. So that is part of your story, which is really interesting, really compelling, to see the links they go to kind of back up their sides. On the other hand, we do find out where those your kind of your core JSA members are, and they are fighting for their lives. I don't want to give away too much about what's going on there, but it's really cool. This is kind of where the most of the action comes from in the book, as you see Hawkman and Hawkgirl fighting, and Jay Garrick Flash searching for something very, very fast. A lot of really interesting stuff going on there. And yeah, I can't wait to see where this book goes. So I'll say, uh, JSA are characters that have been around forever. You may be familiar with them. You may not. You may be familiar with a few of them. I think this is. It does give you kind of a intro into like here's kind of the JSA, what they've been through, and kind of what they stand for. It doesn't give you like an introduction to every character,
Mm.
but it doesn't take much to get into the story. I think that's the really nice thing is it's not a hindrance if you don't know every character on the team.
That's true, because I don't know as much about the JSA as I do a lot of other DC characters. I know who the characters are. I don't know their backstories. I didn't know that Jesse Quick and Our Man were in a relationship until this book. I know the absolute just like bare minimum basics, and I still enjoy this very much. And what it made me want to do is go back and read some other
Yeah.
JSA because I was like, oh, now I wanted like Sand or Sand. I don't know if it's Sandman or
Yeah,
Sand.
there was a Sandman originally on the team, and I want to say they called the later one just Sand.
Yeah, but like he's in this, and I was like, I want to go. As soon as I was done, I like Googled him. I was like, who's
Yeah.
what's his deal? Because he's not like the Wesley Dodds Sandman. But there's a connection there, but he's not the same guy, and he's not got the same powers or whatever. So I Googled him and read up about him, and it made me want to go read more about these characters. And to me, that's a good that's a good story when
Yeah.
it makes you want to go back and learn about more about what you just read. So like I said, I knew the bare minimum, but I wasn't confused enough that the story didn't make sense.
Right.
So don't be scared if you don't know a lot about the JSA. Just enjoy the story. Fill in the blanks later.
Yeah, exactly. And for longtime fans like me, like you see these characters and exciting to see them back. You've got I don't know if she's just called like what you've got Wildcat 2, if it's Dr. Midnight 2,
Yeah.
or but she's really cool because she's different than the original Dr. Midnight. You've got something with Jakeem Thunder that I don't want to give away, but it's kind of a big crux of this where he may be a key to a lot of this. But yeah, this feels like a rich DC history, but not to the form of you won't understand it. So I highly recommend this for everybody, especially if you love awesome team books and a lot of characters kind of working together, that kind of thing. A lot of really cool interactions, a lot of powers, that kind of stuff. You will love this one. So
and we went ahead and read issue number 2,
yes,
which I think is even better.
Yeah.
Than this one. Not that this one's bad. Like this one is super great, and number 2 is even better. And we get some answers to some questions that are raised in here. Like it's a great start to a new JSA.
Yeah, I didn't want to I don't want to give a review of issue number 2, but it's almost where you could read that before issue number 1 because you do see a lot of the events that lead up to.
Yeah, it fills in the blanks.
It fills in the blanks. Yeah. So that's also good that it doesn't take long to get into the story.
Right.
It doesn't drag out anything. Issue 2 is great as well. So that is JSA number 1, and I do not have any variants for it. We may be sold out, but check the website, infinityflux.net, to see. But yes, another great DC all-in title.
Yep. Well, switching gears to Marvel, we have Kahhori, Reshaper of Worlds. This is a one-shot. It's a Marvel Voices special. This is one story, but it's comprised of 3 different parts by 3 different creative teams. The first part is called Frame Story, written by Ryan Little, and the art is by Todd Harris. And we see Kahhori on Skyworld. So Kahhori, in case you don't know, she first appeared. She was a new character created for the What If Marvel Disney Plus show, season 2 of What If. Well, this is her first appearance in comics. And in the episode that she was in, it dealt all with the space gem, and there was this world that we were introduced to called Sky World, and when you go there, you get these powers of the space gem. So Kahhori is on Sky World when this starts, and Loki appears, but it's not the Loki that we know. It was actually a Loki who is big and blue. He actually looks like a smaller frost giant. Like he's not a big giant, but he's bigger than just like a regular person.
Which makes sense with his past.
Yeah. So he's all blue, and he's using like frost powers and stuff. And he and Kahhori fight, and they're pulled into a portal that leads them into present day 616 universe, which leads us to our next part called New York Scenes. It's written by Arahani David, and the art is by David Cutler. And this one is she just continues to fight Loki in the streets of New York. And Daredevil and Echo are there, and they help her fight Loki before Kahhori and Loki are sucked into another portal. And that takes us to our third story called Midnight Scenes, written by Kelly Lynn D'Angelo, and the art is by Jim Terry. And Kahhori and Loki wind up in, it says the Midnight Mission, but it looks like Central Park. So I don't know if it's like inside. I know the Midnight Mission is kind of weird. There's like, it's sort of supernatural in nature. So I don't know if they were like in like a garden inside the building or whatever. But this is where she runs into Moon Knight. And of course, heroes have to fight each other when they first meet, right? So she fights Moon Knight a little bit before they team up and face off against Loki. And there were some cool ideas introduced here because Moon Knight, he is the fist of Khonshu, the god of the moon, and he harnesses the powers of the moon god. But Kahhori says that the moon is her grandmother, and you see like her grandmother's face in the moon and things like that. So they're both like, no, am cool. More down with the moon than you are. No, I am. So there was some cool stuff there. But then, after that Kahhori and Loki do wind up back on Skyworld for the final part of their battle, and it goes back to the original creative team. And I won't tell you what happens, but at the end, it's one of those that it does say the end dot 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 for now.
Mhm.
So we might see Kahhori in comics again sooner rather than later.
I do think they said early on that this was kind of to bring her into the
Yeah.
616, and it sounds like not just for a visit but to stay.
Yeah, so she went to 616 through portals and stuff. I don't know if there'll be another story later where she stays there. I'm not sure. But if you like the character from the What If series, definitely grab this because, like I said, her first appearance in comics, and I'm sure there's going to be more to come. So this is our A cover, and this is the only cover I have as well. Again, I don't know if we have any others, but check the website. But this was the only one we had available for this show.
Next up, I've got another number one.
What?
I've got a couple more of those as well coming up. But this is another DC All-In title. This is Batgirl number one, and this was awesome. I believe this one is a miniseries.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I believe so. This is by Tate Bromwell, and the art is by Takashi Miyazawa. And this was awesome. So I know there's a ton of Cassandra Cain fans out there. Um, everybody's got their favorite Batgirl. I'm a Stephanie Brown person, but Cassandra Cain's awesome. I love her original run. And if you don't know much about her, she was a Batgirl, or she became Batgirl, but she was originally trained as an assassin from birth. Her mother, Lady Shiva, kind of kept her in isolation. She never learned to speak until much later, but she learned how to read people and their movements and all that, and that plays a big part in this. So this is an action-packed issue as her mother, Lady Shiva, we don't really see how she summons her there, but they meet up in a building, in a kind of an apartment or something, and uh, Lady Shiva basically says like, "Hey, I've come to warn you that we are both about to get attacked by these kind of assassin ninjas." And it's a really interesting conversation because, of course, Cassandra Cain has no love for her mother. She raised her horribly to be this like killing machine. But kind of the Bat family gave her a new life and everything. But she still does retain a lot of those abilities, which is really cool. And here, even as she's talking to her mother, there's kind of this thing that goes on where it's a little bit like inner monologue or caption that she points out different movements of her mom of like, oh, like her neck's twitching, or she's doing this thing with her hand or whatever that basically says like, oh, she's telling the truth about this, she's lying about this. And it's really cool, and I like that idea going forward in this book that she can read people as they're talking to her. But she even says that her mother, is who kind of taught her that. So she's not 100% sure that her mother can't fake a lot of that. But what ends up happening is they immediately get attacked in this room. I want to say, there's kind of only two locations in this book.
Mhm.
Like, this is kind of nonstop action as they fight these kind of blue ninjas that are just, we only really know about them, but they're called the Unburied. And you'll have to read to find out a little bit more about them. But there's, this is a pretty simplistic story, but in the best way.
Yeah.
It gets you right into the action. A lot of really cool character stuff setting up this of will Cassandra trust her mother, who she's never really trusted before, but that might be the only way they both survive. And yeah, it was awesome. There was a lot of really good kind of choreography and everything, as these are two highly trained ninja assassins fighting. And Batgirl, I'm glad they, for a while, they went to Cassandra talking pretty like full sentences or whatever. This is kind of back to her early Batgirl series, which I really like, where she's a woman of few words.
Yeah.
But what she says is very like, she's almost like 11 from the early
Right,
seasons
right.
of Stranger Things. Like, when she says it really cuts. But yeah, so if you're a Batgirl fan, a Cassandra Cain fan, a Bat Family fan, this is awesome. This feels very like new reader friendly, and just, it doesn't mess around.
Yeah.
It gets right to the point and right to the action. A simple story, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, highly recommend Batgirl number one. That is your A cover. And then we also have this really awesome Art Germ cover.
That's great.
I love her suit. It's always been one of the best parts about her. And I think she's back to also maybe having that sewn mouth where she like closed it up.
Yeah, I think she had that, right?
Yeah, and then we also have a day call variant as well.
All right, well, I've got a number 2. This is Aliens versus Avengers number 2. Remember this series? The first issue came out back in August, and now we finally have our second one, obviously written by Jonathan Hickman, art by Issa Ribic. Now, the first part of this book is actually set 20 years before the first issue, and we see Tony Stark selling his company to Weyland Yutani, which doesn't seem like something that he would do, but there's a reason that he's doing it. And then fast forward to present day in this story anyway, and the Avengers decide that what is left of humanity has to abandon Earth and find another planet to try to restart the human race. And luckily, Tony Stark has been planning for that for the last 20 years. And they're actually ready to leave. It's not like they say, okay, here's our plan. Now let's make it happen. No, here's our plan. We can already do it now, thanks to Tony Stark. And they're ready to leave like pretty quick after they decide that. But of course, there are complications with their departure. I definitely don't want to spoil anything else, but there's a couple of surprises in here that we see. I'm trying to think. Like we do see another character that we didn't see in the first issue. It was really cool to see that. There's a small group of Avengers and maybe about 1,400. I think they said about 1,400 humans left on the planet, and luckily their escape vessel is able to hold everybody, but maybe not everybody gets to go on that journey. um, the only frustrating thing is the next issue of this doesn't come out until February 5th,
Wow.
and the first issue didn't come out. So it's like a 3-month gap between issues, and I kind of feel like maybe it's killing the momentum a little bit, because this is a really cool story.
And it is pretty. It's not like there's big gaps in between the first and second issue. It pretty much
Yeah,
takes
it's like
place
yeah,
immediately.
it's right there. Yeah, so it's not like 3 months later, and there's I don't know what the reasoning for the big delay is. So it's kind of killing the momentum a little bit, but it is still really cool. So if you want to buy these in single issues, by all means do it, and just try to remember what happened from one to the next. But another great chapter in the Aliens versus Avengers, and again, it's still another one of those things where like after the first issue, she's like, I don't know how the heroes can win this,
No.
and I still feel that way. I don't know how the heroes
Even
can
after
win
this
this.
issue, it's like I don't even know where the next issue goes.
Yeah, like what do you even
It's
do from here?
yeah, it's just kind of like you're watching the Avengers and everything just kind of get snuffed out.
Yeah, and but those I like those kind of stories because it's unpredictable. It's like, oh, the good guys are going to win. Obviously, well, I don't know. They
Yeah.
might not. I mean, there's no telling where this is going to go. But number 2 is out this week at long last. So there's our A cover right there, and we have a couple cool variants. This is the Manhanini variant. Thor is not in this issue. And then there is the Sorrentino variant. Hulk is definitely in this issue.
He does stuff that's pretty close to that.
Yep, yep.
Okay, next up I have a new book from Dark Horse. I know there's a variant for this, and I'm not sure where I put it. This is a new book from Dark Horse called FML. This is by Kelly Sue DeConnick, and the art is by David Lopez. And really, you can get a good feeling of the tone and everything from this cover. This is, after reading, I would say a kind of punk rock dystopian coming of age tale. And it's not like post apocalyptic, it's just dystopian. There's, um, that way of like punk music and everything, fighting the man, and um, like uh, they say like one of the characters' moms in here is really obsessed with like true crime podcast, but take that idea of being obsessed with bad news and like spread it over the whole place in this because the assignments they get at school are really dark and they're about like serial killers and stuff like that. And but you've got this group of kids and that's kind of your core thing to this. And your main kid's name is Riley, and he is the son of a legendary punk rock singer. Uh, and her name was Patty Cake when she was kind of a punk rock singer. And the art in this does a lot of cool stuff. When it's like referring to the past or something, it looks like they took a piece of like notebook paper and like drew in pencil like what she looked like before.
Oh yeah.
So it's has a very like multi style to this that's really really cool. But you've got this group of kids. They're kind of all like the weird outcast kids. One girl like always dresses up like a witch. One girl is like super annoying, but they let her hang with them and stuff. but they have a place they go and hang out in the woods after school and everything. And a lot of this is like setting up their relationships and the friends and everything. But it seems like the core of this is they've got a place they hang out in the woods. And I forgot what they call it, like the witch's house or something like that. But it's an old like toilet, like an old like bathroom, like how like a park would have like a little bathroom hut.
Yeah.
It's that, but like the roof is caved in. But they say like the older kids hang out there on weekends and stuff, but throughout the week, it's their place to hang out. But they do learn that Riley's mom, when she was younger and in this band, had a bunch of zines. And they look like zines. They're just like one color and like really crazy. But in them is written spells. And they're like, well, we know what we're doing this weekend.
Yeah.
And so they try one of those out, and it looks like that's where the craziness is going to come from. Because I don't want to give away what happens, but a lot. It seems like it's going some pretty interesting places. But this first issue is definitely setting up uh, the style of the book. The way the kids are kind of the protagonists, and the adults are kind of the problem in this society and everything. And it's really cool. It definitely has a lot of style. And if you're a big fan of kind of the punk, rebellious, that kind of thing, it's a nice mix of that with a little bit of kind of magic, and it honestly fits kind of around a Halloween season.
Mm.
So yep, that is your A cover, and I know I've got a variant for this somewhere, but I'll have to get back to you on that. Oh wait, I got it.
Found it.
Found it. We have this Nicholas Scott 1 in 10 variant we've got for $12.99. It's a really cool cover.
All right, well, next we've got this year's Green Arrow Annual, and this is the last issue, not of the series. The series is still going on, but it's the last issue with Joshua Williamson and Sean Isaacs at the helm, who has been your creative team since the beginning of the series, and also Amanke Nwelpin does some pencils in here too. And so this is their last story. I actually thought when I first heard about this that this was going to be it was going to put a nice bow on the story that they have told up to this point, but it's not really that at all. It's a completely different story. It's a one and done story. You could actually read this if you haven't read any Green Arrow. You could read this free and clear of anything else, and it's just kind of like a final farewell of these guys.
Final adventure.
Yeah, final adventure with these creators. It's, like I said, it's a one and done story, and it's a really cool look at Green Arrow through the years, wrapped around a story about Green Arrow trying to stop this bad guy named Firestarter. And the book is actually set in what I would say probably the near future. And Oliver Queen is back on the island, but this time he has a bunch of kids with him who are kids that belong to some unnamed heroes and villains. And one of them's got red hair, so it's like, oh, that's maybe Roy's other kid or something like that we don't know. We don't know who the kids are. They don't have names. We don't know who their parents are. But the kids say, hey, tell us about a time that you always tell us about all your great adventures, but tell us about a time that you missed. And so he says, well, there was one time. So the rest of it is a flashback, and he talks about where he was on, originally he was on the island. He came back to Star City when he first started being Green Arrow, and there was this villain named the Firestarter who used to just set buildings on fire in Star City. And Green Arrow tried for years and years and years to bring this guy in, but never could because the arsons were random. There was no pattern. There was there was nothing like that. And it's cool because we see Green Arrow through the years in his different suits, drawn in the style of what era that was from. And we see over the course of those years the Firestarter's equipment gets upgraded as Green Arrow's costumes change, and he goes throughout the years and that kind of thing. And it's just a really nice ending to Joshua Williamson's run. Like I said, it doesn't have anything to do with the story that they told in these first like 15, 16 issues, whatever it is. But
it seems like it's like their love letter.
Yeah, it's like a love letter to Green Arrow.
Here's all the things we love about the character throughout the history and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for the new creative team and all the new stories we're going to get with Green Arrow. But I actually am like this got me a little bit because I was like, man, this is such a great arrow of Green Arrow, and I know it's been a great run of Green Arrow, and I know that these guys really like the character, so it's really sad to see it all end. And with this touching of a story, it's a simple story. there's nothing like no sinister ending. It was just like a nice one and done story. And it's cool too because it does this thing that I love where it gives us little glimpses into the future. It gives us little glimpses as to things we haven't seen yet because Oliver is telling stories that have happened to him, but it's still further in the future than what we've seen. So I don't know if we'll actually ever see those stories or not. But it
Kind
was
of
just
random like events or like
yeah,
supervillains attacks and stuff
yeah, but
that
it's
are
stuff that we haven't seen yet. So it's like, oh, is that gonna maybe that'll happen one day? I don't
yeah.
know. But just a wonderful one and done Green Arrow story. Pick it up if you're a fan of the character because it's great. It's cool. It was cool going back and seeing Green Arrow and all of his different costumes like longbow hunters and the Phil Hester era with the
Yeah.
hat and stuff and when he had sort of the brown when Connor Hawk was Green Arrow too, like all of that was really fun. So I don't have any variants for this, but you don't need one because that cover is fantastic.
That says it all.
Yep.
So next up, I have a book that I could talk about for a while because this
Oh
was
yeah.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ultimates number 6, and this really does feel like the time in between issues is real time because every
Yeah.
time we kind of start an issue of Ultimates, they're somewhere about to do something, and in this, Iron Lad has gathered the whole Ultimates team. So you don't see him go around and like ask for their help once again or something. He's got them all there, and so you've got Iron Lad, of course, with Sif, Thor, Human Torch, Hawkeye, Captain America, Wasp, Giant Man, She Hulk, and America Chavez. So all your characters that it's been building and adding to this roster are together because Iron Lad is like, I finally like pinpointed a location behind this door, like literally like behind this door that I'm standing in front of is a lot of prisoners, and for what it sounds like, maybe super powered prisoners or something like that.
That's what I thought.
It
Yeah.
kind of insinuates and it's like if we can free them, this is going to be a big hit against the Makers Council.
And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh man, are we gonna get to see new like the
Yeah,
ultimate version of characters? Like this is gonna be great."
yeah, but it's actually really fun what happens
Yeah.
because let's say they get through the door easier than they expected. The whole team. And what they find there, I don't want to give away kind of what the location looks like, but did you get the feeling that like it was maybe a little dimensional shift or something
Well,
about?
he said where it was.
Oh yeah, but like that's not where they traveled to there and then went
Oh
through.
right, yeah,
Like they were transported
yeah,
to another location, and where they are is a familiar Marvel location, but one we haven't seen in the Ultimate Universe
right.
yet, which was really cool. And there they are confronted by Hulk, and of course this is the Makers Council version of Hulk, who is very zen until he's not.
Yep.
This was really cool. So at that point, this is a fight between the Ultimates team, which they are a team now. They're working together. You've got different ones kind of going at it, and then they get knocked back, and then the next one goes. You get to see them all in action, which is great. But it's not only Hulk, but his immortal weapons of Hulk, which are some other people he has with him that have Hulk abilities. And I don't want to give away. Some seem vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're probably all based off of characters, but I only recognized a couple of them. But this is an issue where the Ultimates get their butts handed to them in a pretty brutal way. And I don't want to give away too much about it, but most of this issue is that fight and Hulk basically being like, "You don't know what you're doing."
Yeah. This made me think too that we know that we're building towards the big showdown between the Ultimates or all the heroes in the Ultimate Universe and the Maker and his council whenever that big dome opens. We're about a year away from that, both in the comics and in real time. But reading this, I'm like, how are they gonna win? Like,
Yeah,
how are the good guys gonna like? I don't see how they can possibly pull this out. And it's kind of like what we talked about a minute ago, where I like those stories where
yeah,
I don't know where this is gonna go.
yeah.
Like, I don't know if the heroes are gonna win.
Yeah, and by the end of this, you will definitely be like, I don't. That seems a no go for the
Yeah.
Ultimates. Like this is really rough. It's great to see She Hulk in action in this one. Like she is awesome, and she definitely has kind of a grudge against Hulk
Yeah.
because of what he did to her island. See Giant Man and Wasp as a team fighting, just so fun. And it's definitely not like the last issue of Ultimates or whatever, but it does feel like the issues before have led up to this. and then I can't wait to see what's next, because they've really built this up. And I feel like not that this fight in this is a bonding moment for the team, but I think it definitely like makes it where they're all like, no, we have to do something about
Yeah.
this. So maybe you'll be seeing them as a team more often after this. But fantastic issue of Ultimates with a very surprising last page that makes you really want the next issue
Yeah.
to find out, is this true?
This is probably the most action-packed issue of any Ultimate book
Yeah.
all year. Like
Yeah.
since this new Ultimate Universe started, this probably has more action in it than any other. I'm talking Ultimate Spider-Man, X-Men, whatever. This is insane. Like really good.
Yeah, really, really good. So that is your A cover. And we also have this 1 in 25 Phil Noto variant, which Doom is in it as well, but
Mhm.
you'll have to see kind of what part he plays in it, because I feel like he's a very interesting wild card in this
Yeah.
Ultimates team. If I didn't say, it's a 1 in 25. We're selling for $19.99.
Yeah. So good. Absolutely great. All right, so next I've got Batman number 154, and this is part 2 of the shoot. I can't remember the name of the story, but the story that started last issue, with the first issue of the new All In era. This is the second part of that. I really like this issue a lot because it involves a lot of detective work between Batman and Gordon as they try to find out who killed the character that was killed at the end of last issue. And if you read it, but I don't want to spoil it if you haven't. So a lot of detective work as they try to figure out who killed this character, and we actually near the end we do learn who it is, or at least we think we do, and because a character confesses to it, but I'm like, I still have doubts. Like this person said they did it, but did they really? Or maybe it was something else. Maybe like they got into a scuffle and they left, and they thought they killed the character, but then actually, oh no, they're still moving, and then somebody else did. I don't know. But somebody did confess to it, and the person who confessed to it was pretty shocking. I did not see that coming. On top of that, the mystery of Bruce Wayne's supposed brother deepens. Last issue, they said, "Hey, Bruce Wayne, do you have a brother? Because there's somebody claiming that they're your brother, and they're vying for your shares of Wayne Enterprises." So that mystery deepens, and we don't know if because we haven't seen them yet, so we don't know if the person claiming to be his brother is who they say they are. But Bruce does learn some disturbing new info about his parents that, again, may or may not be true. But as of right now, it seems like it could be true, and if so, it's definitely some paints his parents in a different light than maybe we've seen so far. And this is also the second appearance of Commander Starr. First appearance was last issue. He's that Captain America mixed with Batman type character that popped up last issue. He says that he wants to do good for Gotham City, and he's got a cowl and a cape, but he's all stars and stripes out. But there's something shady about him. We don't know what yet, but he is in this again for a couple of pages. He intervenes on a protest taking place outside of a hospital. And there's just something weird with that guy, and I cannot wait to find out who he is and what is his deal. But there's another great issue of Batman, some really good mysteries, and it's like, oh, we got some answers, but I don't know if those are the right answers, so there's still more to learn. The artwork is great, so absolutely loved it. So number 154, there's your A cover right there, and there's some cool variants. This is the Tony Harrison, Jeremy Clark variant. This is our Creature Commandos variant by Kevin. Oh yeah! Oh my gosh! Yes, Kevin Maguire. Nice homage to Justice League International. How did I not?
How many
realize
times
that?
has he drawn that?
Yeah. How did I not realize that? Jeez Louise. There's a 1 in 25 from Nicholas Scott that we're selling for $14.99. Oh, with the yellow oval. That's my Batman right there. Yellow oval, blue and gray. I love that Batman. And then there is the 1 in 50 James Herron variant that we're selling for $29.99.
Well, next up, I've got another great issue. This is such a great week for comics. This is X-Men number 7. And we were talking about this. This is back to, like, not that any issue in this has been bad, but the first few issues were so good. This is back to kind of the excitement of the first couple of issues, because in this one, it explores what was the Iron Knight. Which, after reading this, I'm like, it's kind of weird they gave it a name.
Yeah, and it's Knight NIGHT, like an event, not like the Dark Knight.
Not something that Batman would also call himself. But this is what happened with that giant sentinel that is looming over the small town in Alaska that the X-Men have made their the Sentinel facility there, their base and everything. What happened? How did it end up there? Also, what does this have to do with Piper Cobb, the young girl from the previous issue that said something happened on that night? So part of this issue is a flashback. It kind of goes like back and forth of like remembering what happened there as Cyclops talks to Magneto, which is one of the coolest pairings in this. Is
Yeah.
kind of how they, after everything that's happened with the X-Men, how they kind of found themselves on common ground. Um, Cyclops is definitely feeling a lot of emotions after everything that happened on Krakoa and just his life in general, where he's like, everything I built up to and all of that. We had kind of what we thought would be perfection, but it didn't pan out. So like, what am I doing now? What am
Mhm.
I even like aiming for? And Magneto talks with him about that, which is really cool. But in the past, which is not that far back when all of this went down, we see that Magneto is in his original suit
Mhm.
and he's controlling metal and everything, much different than what he's currently looking like, where he's kind of bound to a chair, very like Charles Xavier like. And it shows what happens when a rogue sentinel, they call it a wild sentinel, awakens. And they give reasons why it happened and everything and started coming for the town. And it's basically up to Cyclops and Magneto, just the two of them, to take down this giant sentinel. And it is awesome. There is a ton of action in this that is really, really cool. The other part of this issue is Beast testing some of Piper's hair to see about the X gene, if she has it or not, and all of that, which is also very interesting, but it balances well with all the action of the Magneto Cyclops part. But yeah, this was really, really fun. I would say it answered quite a few questions
Yeah.
about just like the status when we first started this X-Men series, why characters were the way they are. I thought the art was great in this. It was just a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And I'm really interested to see where it's going from here. And there's something, I don't want to give it away because I feel like it was a major part, but for the X-Men that have been resurrected on Krakoa,
Yeah.
that's not over. And it's that was like, that is a story I want to know more
Mhm.
about.
Yep.
So
Yep.
definitely check out this issue if you were maybe on the fence, because all this series has been great. But it started off with a story, it kind of deviated from it, but it is back, and I love it. It's
Yeah.
great character drama, all of that.
This is probably my favorite issue of the series since maybe the first couple.
Yeah,
Like this was absolutely wonderful.
yeah, so cool, so action packed. I also love, it looked like Cyclops. I know he was wearing it on like the cover of number one or whatever. It looks like he's wearing his new X-Men jacket from the Grant
Oh yeah.
Morrison
Yeah.
and stuff. Like he's a little bit more chill and everything. So there is your A cover for that. And we also have a Joel Jones Psylocke variant. And we have a Gleb Milkanov 1 in 25 variant we're selling for $14.99.
That one's great. I
Yeah.
love that.
So not as much like Juggernaut and Magic and all of them
Yeah.
in this. And this also does have like a after the credits scene,
Yep.
which is, stay around for, because it seems like that's also setting up something big.
Which is gonna lead into the what's it called? Raid on Grey Malkin,
Yeah.
like crossover between this and Uncanny X-Men.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, well, I'm going to talk about Something is Killing the Children number 0. How long has it been since we've talked about Something is Killing the Children? Still doing great. I'm quite a bit behind on it. I swapped to trades for this,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a few story arcs, maybe like two story arcs or 3 behind on this book. But we have number 0, and I went ahead and read this because this is actually set before and during Something is Killing the Children number 1. So in this, we learn a little bit more about Sarah, who is the young girl who had some missing limbs that was in the wagon when we first met Erica Slaughter in issue number 1.
Like page like 3 or
Yeah,
4.
like page 3, like right after the title page, you turn the page, you meet Erica Slaughter, and there's also a girl with her who's missing an arm. I can't remember if she's missing legs, and she's in a wagon. And there's a whole like 2-page sequence with them. And then Erica Slaughter goes off to Archer's Peak, and that's where the story goes. And I always wonder, like, what in the heck was that? Like, well, that's what this is. So it tells us a little bit more about Sarah. It doesn't show what happened. Like, obviously, she got attacked by a monster. We didn't see that part, but Erica Slaughter came in and killed the monster. We saw a little bit of that, but we, the fact is, the point is, we see that a little bit before issue number one, but also this story takes place while Erica Slaughter is in Archer's Peak during issue number one. And there is so while she's off doing that, while issue number one is going on over here, in this book, we see Sarah getting questioned by this man asking, "What did she tell you? She's in trouble. Where is she?" That kind of thing. Now, I don't know who that guy is. If you're caught up on Something is Killing the Children, you might know, but I haven't seen him before. He definitely is part of. I don't know if he's part of the House of Slaughter, but he's definitely part. He at one point he puts the mask on, so he's definitely part of that world. Um, but I just don't know if that's going to go anywhere or if maybe we're already past all that. I'm not sure because I'm so far behind, but just wanted to let you know that this is out. If you are caught up on Something and Killing the Children, if you're looking to get back in or something like that, then this issue number 0 is there. This is basically a one shot that just takes place before issue number one and just kind of fills in a few blanks. And it was really cool to get back. And it made me want to go back and like, hey, I need to catch up because this is a really great book and I'm just behind. But this is our A cover right here. And there are some really cool variants for this. This is the I believe this is Chris Bocciolo. I'm pretty sure. So that's a nice cover there. We have this Jenny Frison variant, which looks really cool. We have this Dan Mora. This is Polybag? Are
Yeah.
there like cards in there?
No, it's you don't know which cover you're gonna get. There's
Oh.
common covers and rare covers. So depending on what Erica's holding on there, there's like a bow, there's a knife, but the chainsaw one is rare, and it shows you that on the cover.
Okay,
And
so behind this cover is one of those three
yeah, and you
covers
don't
down
know which
there,
one
and you
you're
don't
gonna
know which
get.
one. That's why it's okay. Cool. I did not. We
Yeah.
were talking about it earlier, and I did not pick up on that. So yeah, that's really cool right there. And Dan Mora. So regardless of which cover you get, you're not going to go wrong with a Dan Mora cover.
You don't listen to anything I say.
Well, what'd you say? We have this 1 in 10 Jenny Frison variant, this Virgin variant that we're selling for $9.99. And then we have this 1 in 25. I don't have the artist on this one, but we're selling that one for $19.99. And then we have this 1 in 50 Jenny Frison black and white Virgin variant that
Except
we're selling
for her eye, which is green.
Is it? Oh, you're right. It is.
Yeah,
We're selling that one for $29.99.
Well, next up, I've got Star Wars Battle of Jakku Insurgency Rising number 4, and this continues our 12-part maxi series exploring the year after Return of the Jedi, leading up to the Battle of Jakku. And this is the final issue of this mini series that is within the maxi series. So if you look in the corner, it says like number 4 of 12, but the next issue is going to be a number 1. So
just with a different like subtitle.
Yeah. So a little bit behind the scenes when I do all the ordering for stuff like this, I did. If you're on this series, I moved all the subscribers from this series to the next one because it is the same series.
It's one story.
Continuing. Yeah. So that's a little bit behind the scenes of how I do things there. So if you are subscribed to this series, you will be getting the next one. But this one, interesting wrapping it up. Luke confronts the new Inquisitor that we just saw kind of a shadow of in the previous issue, but something is a little off about them, and you'll have to read it. I don't want to give away about this Inquisitor. Plus, the New Republic reaches out to Lando for help, which is really fun. He's flying his classic ship, the Lady Luck, which I don't think they call it that, but that's kind of a old expanded universe thing that he had this ship, which I thought was really cool. And Luke does come face to face with Moff Adelhard, who is the big villain of this, and it's a straight up fight, but not really for Luke. But this definitely kind of ramps up the tensions between everybody, which is really really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of if the next one feels any different, or it's the same writer. I think the artist changes, but it'll be interesting to see, is there going to be any time jump, or can I tell a reason why they're doing these mini series within this maxi series?
Strange.
But really enjoying it. I like how fast paced it is. It comes out every 2 weeks, I believe, and it definitely has that kind of momentum of a series coming out fast. So there is your A cover. We also have this Alan Qua variant. And that is it.
All right, well, I've got Creature Commandos number 2. And this issue shows us what happened 2 months prior to the first issue. And it involves something really bad that Lucky, who is your Frankenstein type character right here, he did something really bad while on a mission. And it was cool to see it because it involved Zatanna. She's in it just a little bit. And the rest of the issue is the team in their headquarters. They're getting ready to go out on the mission that was established last issue, but they never actually get going because they spend too much time fighting each other. And so the whole rest of the issue is them fighting each other in the headquarters. So that was kind of funny. In my notes, it says we also see a little bit more of the villain that we saw at the end of last issue. But if you look at that, I didn't realize that he's on the A cover. So we see a little bit more of this villain. We don't know exactly what he's up to yet, but it's definitely not good. So another fun issue, and I can't wait to see these guys actually get out in the field and work as a team again. But we haven't quite got there yet. But still really fun. And I like the artwork and everything. So just wanted to let you know that Creature Commandos number 2 is out this week. That's our A cover right there, and we have this Tom Fowler variant with your team right there.
Real quick, I've got Negasonic Teenage Warhead number 1. This is a one-shot that is by Andrew Wheeler with art by Eleonora Carlini and Carola Borelli. And this collects the Marvel Infinite comic series that was a couple of those weeks of comics that were just fun. That teams up Negasonic Teenage Warhead with Deadpool. You also got some Emma Frost in there. And some other cool X-Men characters and stuff. But this just collects, I think there's like 3 or 4 of those. Plus, it does have a new, only in print story as well. It does have the first, I guess, in print appearance of Yuki Ohara, who you may know from the Deadpool movies and everything. It has her first in print appearance since it wasn't a digital comic. But yeah, so you may have read this already, maybe not, but that is coming out this week. Negasonic Teenage Warhead number 1, and it's just a one-shot kind of anthology.
Well, I've got Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood number 4, and just like the other issues in this series, it's 3 different anthology stories, just quick little one and dones, all told in black and white. Wait, it's black, white, and blood, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Black and white and red, but it is all stories with Spider-Man wearing the black suit, which I love because I love the black suit. The first one's called Past Lives by G. Willow Wilson, and the art is by Valentina Pinti. And Spider-Man gets Black Cat's help to break into the Latvian embassy in New York to steal a new bomb that they believe the Latvian embassy is hiding there. It's small enough to fit in a briefcase, but it's powerful enough to kill hundreds of people. So they have to break in to try to get that. There's another story called The Achilles Shield from David Michelinie, and the art is by Tatum Agyadu. And this is set back when Peter was in college. And one of his science professors accidentally developed a formula that is resistant to damage. He was trying to just like make a formula to like a scratch resistant formula for cars. He accidentally created this formula that's almost like bulletproof. And he applied it to a speed skating suit to see what it was like. But when he did that, the suit bonded to him, and now he's desperate to get it off. And that leads to a whole bunch of craziness. And then the last one's called In the Mind of a Master, written and drawn by Hayden Sherman, who I now think of as your absolute Wonder Woman artist. And in this one, Spider-Man investigates, or I'm sorry, there's 3 people that have been murdered within 3 days, and Spider-Man investigates it and finds out that it's related to something that happened in his early days as Spider-Man, and but like something that actually is in the comics from way back in the Silver Age. It's all related together, so that was really cool. So just 3 more one and done stories in black and white and red. But yeah, Spider-Man is wearing the black suit in all of them. And I've been enjoying this series a lot. Like I said, I love the black suit. So there's our A cover right there. We have this really cool Romero variant with Spider-Man and Black Cat. And then we have this 1 in 25. I didn't get the artist on this one, but we're selling this one for $29.99.
And real quick, I'm going to go over 2 that I did not get a chance to read because our shipment came in late, but I do want to spotlight them. So we have One for Sorrow. This is a new book from Distillery, written by, I think written and drawn maybe by Jamie McKelvey, who we haven't seen in a long time, but looks really cool, kind of period piece. book. So I'm very excited to check that one out because all the Distillery's books have been really cool. And also want to point out that DuckTales #1 came out. So if you are a big DuckTales fan, don't miss this out this week.
Yeah, Distillery has so many good books, and I hate that we don't get to spend as much time on those books on this show. But they don't. They usually don't come until Mondays
Yeah.
when we're already like trying to put this together. So it's just a timing thing. It's not that we don't love them. It's just
Yeah.
sometimes there's time doesn't allow for us to read them and absorb them, and that especially since they're a little bit longer too.
Yeah.
Do you have any more?
Nope.
Okay, well then
Fresh out.
I've got three real quick. So I've got Venom War #4. This is the next to last issue of the main Venom War story, and we saw at the end of last issue that the Venom symbiote bonded with Eddie and Dylan Brock at the same time, and it's now helping them work in perfect unison. It's like bridge. It's almost like a Pacific Rim. You have two pilots and their minds bridge, and they're able to. So it's kind of like that. And it's a good thing too that they're working in tandem because they finally come face to face with all the zombiotes. And it's funny because we have seen all these different tie-ins dealing with all these zombiotes, but they haven't seen it yet. So they're like, "What the heck is a zombiote?" So that was kind of funny to be like, "Oh yeah, they're a little bit behind on this." And so to fight all the zombiotes that come busting into the gymnasium they're in, they do something really cool that involves Flash Thompson, aka Agent Anti-Venom, but I didn't really understand it. There's a lot of like symbiote mumbo jumbo that I don't mean that bad, but just a whole bunch of like, wait, what? I don't understand what's going on here. Whatever it was, though, was pretty effective against the zombiotes, and we got one issue left of this. So we have our A cover right there, and
this
there's
is a very funny cover.
Yeah, the Venom Horse Black Gooey variant. This is from Clayton Crane. Yeah,
Is that its official name now? Is Black Gooey?
I mean, it's on the top. You can't argue with the cover.
That's
I guess
true.
maybe it is. And then to go along with that, we have the final issue of Venom War Spider-Man, the Venom War Spider-Man tie-in. This is issue #4, and it's the last one. And like I said, final issue. Spider-Man has to race. He leaves. Actually, you see him in this. He's still there, and he's like, "Guys, I gotta go. I'm needed over here." And he leaves. And then you see him in here. So if you get both of them, read this first, and then read that. So he races to save MJ from Arachniote, which is this big, like, spider monster symbiote thing that they've been fighting throughout this miniseries. And visually, it's really cool. There's some really cool visual stuff in this. And I have a note here that says, "After it's all done, my hatred of Paul has reached new levels." Because there's something in here that's, I text you the pages. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with.
There's a Peter body language.
Yeah, right.
That just as everybody who dislikes Paul at this point.
Yeah.
Just as, that's how they all feel.
It's a perfect representation of how we all feel about Paul. But other than that, like, the issue is pretty cool though. I've liked this tie-in series quite a bit. That's the only cover we have for that. I've got one more, and this is X-Force #5. And I wanted to tell you about this one because this is the final battle between X-Force and Nuclo. So the story that this is, I think it's been running for 3 issues now, involving Man-Thing a little bit. And this wraps that up. But I do want to tell you that a member of the team dies as a result of, it's one of those like, oh, they have to sacrifice themselves in order to beat the bad guy. So there is a member of the team who dies, and another member of the team says that they are going to quit because of that. So if you've been reading this, be prepared. There's some tough moments in this one. But that's our A cover right there, and we have this Clayton Crane variant also. And that's all I got.
Very cool.
Yep.
What a big week for comics. So definitely head on over to infinityflux.net right now where you can order these books. They are live right now up there. That way you guarantee you get them. Whether you shop online or if you come to the store, it still gets put in your box. That way you're guaranteed to get them. It's already paid for, everything. Super easy. Or come in. Hopefully we still have some in stock of the ones you're looking for on Wednesday. But it's a big week while supplies last because, if you've been following the Absolute stuff, you know how fast that goes. Plus, all the DC All-In stuff. People are so excited for everything DC's doing and kind of this new revitalization that came with all of that.
Yeah.
So I don't expect Batgirl to stay around long, JSA to stay around long. So go ahead and get yours ordered or be here early on Wednesday to grab a copy.
Wait outside at about 6 a.m. We open at noon.
Yeah. It's fine. I won't be here then.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, thank you so much for watching. We've got a show coming up on. Today is Wednesday.
No, today's Monday. Wednesday.
A show coming on Wednesday. I will not be here for a couple of shows, but Matt will be taking over.
I'm gonna be flying solo for like a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will be flying with other people as I actually go fly. But stay tuned for those videos because some more big stuff will be coming out. You don't want to miss, and show Matt some support. I know it's hard without me, but the show must go on.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching, and until next time. Oh wait, you didn't mention the card.
Oh shoot, you're right. Oh my gosh,
it's right there.
It's right. Yeah. So with my bad. So
yeah, it was
with with Absolute. Well, you know, guys know what Absolute Superman #1 looks like. There is also the final membership card, but this one is Darkseid. So with the purchase of Absolute Superman #1, whether it's online or in store, as long as supplies last on this, when you purchase this, you will get the Darkseid card, and this one glows in the dark. There's the Omega. Wait, there's the Omega symbol on the back that was not there for the other cards. And it's cool because at the top it says Watchtower Security Breach, and it's all garbled right there. And this glows in the dark. So yeah, get your final Justice League membership card with Darkseid with the purpose.
Yeah, if you read the DC All-In special, you see this card get formed, how that happens, everything, which is really cool.
So that's the last one for now. Although I was on that call with Mark Waid earlier in the week, and there was a lot of retailers that said these cards were huge hits at their store. And they said, oh, cool. Well, if you guys like them, maybe we'll do more. So nothing official yet, but maybe we'll get some more of these soon.
Hopefully an Aquaman card.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, that is it for our show. So until next time, see ya.